Hello everybody, welcome to Unit 2, Morphology. We have already finished Unit 1 that had to do with language, the nature of language. It was mainly theoretical, lots of reading. And now we're going to start with Unit 2 that deals with morphology. There is not much theory here. What it is important is practice. So let's see how we manage, to have this opportunity of practicing and working with words and analyzing words. It's very interesting, it's very easy, it's funny, and by the end of this unit we're going to deal with teaching vocabulary, not only to analyze words but also how to work with words with our students. So let's start by defining morphology, what morphology is about. And already says that morphology is a system of categories and rules which are involved in word formation. So here we have a keyword, which is word formation. And it's the study of the internal structure of words, inventory of notions relevant to the analysis of word structure. So here we have some keywords like internal structure of words, word formation, word structure. And morphology examines how words are created, structured, and changed. Very good. And I was looking at etymology of word morphology, which is the study of structure or form of something. And it comes from Greek. Morph means shape, form. And morphology is the study of form or forms. In biology, this has been coined in biology. Morphology refers to the study of the form and structure of organisms, and in geology it refers to the study of the configuration and evolution of landforms. But in linguistics, morphology refers to the mental system involved in word formation, or also the branch of linguistics that deals with words, their internal structure and how they are formed. So it's very easy. So when someone asks, what is morphology about? It's the study of the internal structure of words. Very simple, concrete, and clear. And so morphology is the component of mental grammar that deals with types of words and how words are formed out of smaller, meaningful pieces and other words. So, every speaker of English knows that wind is an English word, But also, if you have a look at these unwind, rewind, winding, windable, windy, etc., we know that they belong to English words. So, however, even though woman is also an English word, none of the following are possible. And woman, re-woman, woman, it's impossible. So, why is that you can add re to wind and get another word, but adding re to woman does not result in a word? So these are basically questions, or basic common questions that linguists ask themselves and when they study something. Remember that linguistics has to do with asking questions. Why is a word a word? What makes a word a word? As the video you have just watched. So you have to doubt and ask questions and say why we know that this is grammatically correct and the word and woman is ungrammatical correct, because we have this mental grammar that Chomsky talked about. And so morphology is a subfield of linguistics, studies the internal structure of words. So it tries to describe which meaningful pieces of language can be combined to form words, and what consequences and what the consequences of such combinations are on the meaning of the grammatical function of that resulting word. So by combining different words, pieces or grammatical, I can change the meaning of the word or the grammatical function of that word. So if I add er to wind, it modifies the meaning of wind in a certain way, and in fact it does not sound the same way when added to unite, reunite, or play, replay. And another question that we have to ask is, what is a word? So we know that every language has some large number of words available for its user to choose from as they need. Okay, and that is our mental dictionary. And that mental dictionary, which is a collection of many words, and remember that we have this language filter, this language of productivity, that we can create words, and that consists on the lexicon of a language, so the collection of words available for the user. So words can be defined as grammatical units that function according to grammatical rules. And therefore morphology is also called the grammar of words. Sometimes we do not connect the word grammar with words, but because of this idea of combining different affixes to words, we can make new words, and they can change meaning, but also they can change their function within a sentence. And so what's in a word? And we know that we can have a word like student, but we can alter the meaning of student by adding grammatical information. And in this case could be S plural, and it becomes students. In a way we're altering, say one person can be more. And the same with borrow. We can alter the meaning by adding information, grammatical information, such as ed, which shows past, to say borrowed. Okay, so we're going to analyze here the ways in which we can change either the meaning of a word or the grammatical function of the word by adding information. So again, the question is, what is a word? And according to O'Grady, he says that it is the smallest free form found in a language. But when we say it's the smallest free form, we have to make sure that we understand every single phrase or words we use. So in this case, the question is, but teacher, what is a free form? Okay, by a free form, we can understand that it is an element that can occur in isolation, like bird or birds. What's that? Birds. Or whose position with respect to neighboring categories is not completely fixed. So we have bird as a word, is a free form, and then we have the, which do not occur in isolation, but its position is not entirely fixed. I mean, it can occur in many parts of the sentence. It's not in isolation, but not completely fixed. And we know that words belong to lexical categories, which, remember grammar 1, that's why here grammar 1 is so important. So we might have open lexical categories or content words, which are nouns, verbs, adjectives, and adverbs. And new words are added to the language usually belong to this category. So it's they have a lot of productivity, let's say. And then we have closed lexical categories, which function words. So we have pronouns, determiners, prepositions, conjunctions, quantifiers, and they rarely acquire new members. Okay, good. So this is grammar 1, just to remember this. Okay, so when we study morphology, we have our unit, the smallest unit that carries information about meaning and function is the morpheme. Okay, the morpheme, for example, in this word builder, we have two morphemes. Okay, we have the free form build, and we have the bound morpheme that we're going to see later that adds information. It carries information. Okay, in this case, what happens? Does the meaning change? Does the function change? Good. Okay, so when we analyze morphemes, we can analyze simple words or complex words. So simple words could be train and pig, and complex words can be computers, you see, it has more than one morpheme, and mankind, okay, compounds. Its meaning and a stretch of sound joined together constitutes sound meaning unit, and they are arbitrary. There is no connection between sound and meaning. Remember, we're coming back to language features again. Yes, that there is no connection between the sound and the meaning. So the connection of sounds and do not necessarily mean what they show. And Then we have a morph, is the distinguish between sound and morpheme from the entire morpheme. It's the phonological realization of a morpheme. For example, the suffix ts. Okay, so we say cuts. So ts is a morph because it's a phonological realization of a morpheme. And then we have allomorphs. Remember that the same happens with phonetics. So you have allophones. So the variant forms of a morpheme. So we have, in this case, we have an orange and a cat. So the variant when we add the an orange, that is an allomorph. The same happens with phonological facts. Okay, then we have cats, dogs, judges. So you see that there is a difference, a variation, let's say, as regards sounds. Then we can divide morphemes into free morphemes and bound morphemes. So a morpheme whose form can be a word by itself could be cat. Okay? And a bound morpheme is a morpheme that it is attached to another element. So we have cats here, and cat is a free morpheme, and the s is a bound morpheme. It is another morpheme, it is a still morpheme, but it is bound because it is attached to another element. Very easy, very simple. Okay, and how do we represent word structure? And this is what you have to do. To represent the general structure of a word, we need to identify each of the component morphemes. First of all, we need to identify each of the component morphemes and classify these elements in terms of their contribution to meaning and function of the larger word. Okay, so by means of showing the root and the affixes. So in this case, the root constitutes the core of a word and carries the major components of its meaning, and it belongs to lexical categories: nouns, adverbs, adjectives, or verbs. So we have the example teacher. So teach is the root because it belongs to a lexical category. It belongs to a verb. The verb, it is a verb, and it carries meaning. And the affixes, and next lesson we are going to deal affixations, suffixes and prefixes, infixes, etc. do not belong to lexical categories. They are bound morphemes. And so you show like this, okay, the lexical category, and then you mark aff, and then we're going to deal with their derivational or inflectional, and then in this case they make a noun. So there is a change here in the category of the word. And there is a change in meaning and in lexical category, and it's a lexical category. Then we have the basis. Okay, it's an element to which an affix is added. So we have book and the s, and the base is book, and the s is the affix because it is attached. Sometimes the base is also the root. Sometimes it is added to a unit larger than a root. Have a look at this example. You have blackened. So black is a root. Why it is a root? Because it carries meaning. It is the core of the word. It carries meaning. And it is also a base because there is an element which is attached, okay, to this root. And at the same time, n is the base for ed, but it is not the root because it doesn't carry meaning. I hope it is clear. Okay, and to finish with this part, I think there is a small part after that. I love this chart. Yes, you start here, identify the morpheme you are interested in investigating, ensure that it is indeed a single morpheme. So, does the morpheme carry semantic content? Yes, so it is a content morpheme. Can the morpheme stand alone? Yes, it is a content word. No, it is a bound content morpheme. Can the morpheme have the primary meaning in a word? Yes, it's a bound root, bound content, root morpheme. It's a derivational morpheme, bound content, non-root morpheme. And if it doesn't, does the morpheme carry semantic content? No, so it is a function morpheme and a function word or an inflectional morpheme. Thanks.